Thinking about career growth? Join Asian Center of Entrepreneurships and Real Estate today. Learn more about decision making, essentials of business, improve marketing performance, develop crucial communication skills, and more. Join ACE-RE today and get a chance to be mentored by the best professionals in the country. Unlock the entrepreneurship inside you. Learn from the experts. Contact us at 0969-557-7017 or email us at asiancenterentreprealestate@gmail.com. Let's all welcome our host, Dr. Eduardo G. Ong, MBA, JD, PhD, DPA, DBA. He is a highly respected real estate professional, educator, and mentor. He holds a PRC license number 001 for real estate broker, appraiser, and consultant. He is the first chairman of Professional Regulatory Board of Real Estate Service. Currently, he is the Dean of College of Real Estate Management of Lyceum of Alabang. Please welcome PRC Outstanding Professional, Dr. E.G.
On 127? System 10. Hello! Good morning, real estate. Good afternoon, good evening, world. Yan, we are being viewed all over the world. Yeah. And you know that I would like to welcome you to the 127th episode, Season 10 of It's Doc EG Live, wherein we discuss issues and concerns pertaining to business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. And today, we have chosen a very nice topic to talk about economy. We all know that in the recent days, the last few days, we've been bombarded by a lot of information about the inflation rate of 7.7 and about what the central bank governor said in order to be able to mitigate the situation so that we can bounce back and we go back to growth or development in 2023. So that is so likewise in real estate. In real estate, we say that real estate will always be a sunshine industry. However, there are roadblocks sometimes along the way that we have to understand and we have to be aware of. And that is why it is should I say, the realm of economics. So I have chosen this afternoon to invite a very fine lady whom I have heard discuss issues and lecture on real estate economics. And I can say that she is a very good mentor, and that's why I would want to bring her to you now live all over the Philippines, all over the world to talk about real estate economics as it affects the real estate industry. Ayan, ha? Okay, so before we start the ball rolling, allow me to greet some friends who are now in Baguio City. Ang best friend si Bonnie Aguirre, si Aida Aguirre, and Sister Aurea Aguirre, who are including Alan. Naku po, baka magalit si Alan pag hindi ko nabate. Including Alan, who are now in Baguio vacationing. And I don't know, how's the climate in Baguio? Is it cool? And nag-uulan dito eh. But just do not forget may pasalubong when you come back to Manila on Monday. Also, hello to Maripe Flores, the supervisor of the Commission on Higher Education, specifically in charge of the BS in Real Estate Management. And I will be visiting a university on Monday to look into the BSREM curriculum of that university. Okay. And also would like to say hello far from home to our dear good friend Ellen Lee, who is based in Taiwan. And then, well, he's been very helpful to us on our concerns regarding HRE and also regarding the Mandarin class, where she was the lecturer in the basic conversational Mandarin class. So, hello, Ma'am Ellen, and I hope you are also tuning in. And I will see you when I go to Kaohsiung, Taiwan in December to attend the PFC, or the World Federation of Real Estate Professionals Leadership Summit or Convention in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Okay. And so, well, a lot of people will have to be greeted, but masyado kasi tayo excited to hear our very good resource person. That's why I'll try to greet them as we go along. But except that I would like to muna greet our overseas friends who are always viewing us and who are always tuning in to us. Si Connie Belgica Cruz from Daly City in San Francisco, California. Then we have also si Arman Santos, a good friend of mine. Pastor na pala siya. Pastor Arman Santos from Los Angeles, California. And of course, Rapi Africa from Silicon Valley. And well, attending the National Association of Realtors in Florida now is Yoshi Takita from New York City, and Yodi Langan from New Jersey, no? And a good friend of me, Marilu Cruz Katigbak, based in Long Island, New York. And from Parpar, would like to greet our BFFs, no? Si maybe Melby Lorenzala Dorado Sadang, thank you for the goodies you sent me the last few days, including my PRC jacket. Thank you, Melby, and also to a very good friend, faculty and administrator of HRE, si Leonor Nong Liganor, and to Jeanette Mercado, who is combating her weight, trying to lose weight. Hi, Janet. Hope to see you sometime. Likewise, Nong, thank you very much for your help. And also, hindi ko naman kalilimutan batiin ang ating mabait at masipag na VP for Academic Affairs of the Asian Center of Entrepreneurship and Real Estate, si Dr. Leonor Kalayag, who has been very helpful in seeing to it that the classes of SRE in Lyceum of Alabang run through smoothly, including the faculty of Lyceum of Alabang SRE. Now, I let me remind you, pala, sino ba yung nag-birthday na yan? At marami pong nag-birthday. Mamaya babatiin ko lahat yung mga nag-birthday, ha. At anyway, before even that, para hindi tayo maubusan ng oras, kasi excited ako na mapakinggan natin ang talagang dapat ay matuto tayo ng economics, no. In the last few days, we have been bombarded with a lot of issues on economics. And well, siguro dapat pag-aralan natin. Alam mo, when we were, that is a very good subject that we are supposed to know and always have been taken as the subject in real estate economics in the BS in Real Estate Management course. But yan po ay matututo tayo sa ating resource person. At handito pala si Led Ruel. Hi, Led. I'm not being seeing you. Let's have coffee one time, ha? Andrea Tabulao, si June Golciano, and also si June Dolalia and Mrs. Rose Dolalia, who are departing with me to Taiwan in December to represent the Philippines in the Leadership Summit by the PFC. And also hello to Attorney Mike, the very illustrious and very, should I say, hardworking president of the Philippine Federation of Real Estate Service Professionals, si Attorney Michael Rose Limusnero. Hi, Attorney Mike, and Attorney Ray Cartejano, Attorney Girly Dapula, Attorney, ay lahat po yan ay, and also President Mike Agot of Preba, and si Attorney Cherry, no? Attorney Cherry of Para, and also all of the officers and all of the real estate practitioners that are listening or viewing or looking at us right now. Now, also, let me say hello to Andrea Tabulao and Mark Anthony Cruz, and also Kay Pascual. And ay, Dr. Manny Adjoba, you're here. Si aking favorite professor in Lyceum. Ay, Manny Adjoba. One time, Manny, ikaw ang online kita rito, ha? You talk about consulting. And also, Ray Latagan. And, my law school classmate, my goodness, si attorney, Luis G. Gonzalez from Bataan. We were together during our younger years in the College of Law. Ay, nako. Ay, hello, Louis. And Olinad Ogladi, and Ian Higa, and Angelique Labastira, and also ENP Nasser A. Dugasan. Hello, I understand that you had a very successful convention last week. And Yeyen Ebor. Ay, Yeyen! Attorney Yeyen! Wow! Ito isa sa pinaka up-and-coming superstar ng real estate industry. Si Attorney Yeyen Ebora. Hi! And Rojas Caloza, Sheila, Lisa, my good friend, Assessor Lisa Bacala from Iligan City. Tanda ko, Lisa, tandaan ko pa yung ating hot spring in Iligan. Punta tayo ulit, balik tayo. And Ross Mario R. Carizo. Now, I'm gonna greet some of you as you come into the as you enter the program, right? And naku, meron pa Lorenzo Baliete III, Marcia Luz Francisco, and wow, Ella Santa Maria is here, and Ray Villaruel, and my former student Ryan De Vera, who is a very successful, ano ba to, banker to si Ryan no? Okay. Now, moving on, ayokong pag-intayin yung ating resource person kasi we want to hear from her real estate economics. Yan. Now, let me go now to the first segment of our episode 127, and that is the featured question of the week.
Featured question of the week. I'm selling 50 hectares of agricultural land in Culion, Palawan. The still virgin forest at 1,000 pesos per square meter. First, when I checked with the DNR and the Register of Deeds, I found out that only 20 hectares are titled and that 30 hectares are untitled. What shall I do, Doc E.G.? I have an interested buyer to do an ocular inspection on the site. Thank you.
You are so lucky because you have had a client interested to buy the 50 hectares in Palawan. However, I would like to inform you or to remind you that you have to conduct due diligence kasi it is an agricultural land, no? Consult, go to DENR, and well, of course, check with Register of Deeds and the like and the other agencies. However, you made mention in your question that only 20 hectares are titled and the 30 hectares are tax deck. Well, let me tell you that the tax declaration, can it be sold? Pwede naman po, no? Kasi it is also an evidence of ownership. However, what is more authentic is the TCT or the transfer certificate of title, or that is really more, you will not be a little bit nervous because it's a TCT. However, in some cases, in my experience for 30 years in real estate marketing, normally, if it's a big chunk of land, first things you should do is try to conduct due diligence, no? Pero mahirap atang ikutan yung 50 hectares, no? And siguro gagamit ka pa ng drone para makita yon. Now that you have a very interested buyer, I would suggest you that you do an ocular. However, hindi mo naman pwedeng ikutan yung 50 hectares, right? Siguro, gamitan yun ng drone, gamit mo ng other modern technology to be able to know the boundaries and to know what it is. Now, 20 hectares titled, no problem. Check with the register of deeds whether it is authentic, it is not, it is alienable, and or it can be transferred to another person or to the new buyer. However, what about the tax declaration? Normally, tax declaration, pwede naman po yan. However, let's talk about the pricing. Normally po, ang price ng tax deck, no, in any transaction are a little bit lower than the real or the TCT that is supposed to be submitted to the buyer through the broker and verified by the broker on each authenticity. However, I would congratulate you. Well, you have a buyer, ha? Sana ma-close. I wish you good luck so that you are able to close that transaction. Pero pag tumawad ang buyer mo, well, you have to look into to segregate the title and the untitled. The title could probably command a higher price than the untitled. What is most important also is check the ownership. Check the ownership of the land. Was it, sabi mo, may title. Ano ba ang, try to check on the title, try to conduct on the title. Where was it transferred or whatever? Kasi kung, let's say, normally mga big tract of lands owned by the family from first generation, second generation, and transferred to the third generation and so on. So what is important is I want you to conduct due diligence. Check, verify the authenticity of the document. And then, kung okay, move on and then close that sale. Importante, there should be a meeting of the minds. So, however, you don't stop when you close the sale. You also have to look into the final settlement or the final registration of the title in favor of the new owner, including the tax declaration. Okay, so I hope I'm able to help you a bit on your query. And what we will do, our research staff would give you an email and explaining to you more in details what you should do and what can be done and what are the consequences of such transaction. Until then, good luck and thank you so much for your question. Okay, now we move on to the second segment of our episode 127, and that is the featured broker of the week.
Mr. Balbino Cotan Jr., a PRC licensed real estate broker. My PRC license number is 0011669. I've been in the real estate business for more than 10 years. Real estate broker is like actions and adventures. We go to different places, particularly Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, and as far as Cabanatuan City, Pangasinan, Pampanga, Tarlac, Bulacan, and as well as Metro Manila, looking for developers to our listings. Your listing means more housing lots and condominiums to offer. And at the same time, we do recruiting sales managers and salesperson. Our specialization is project selling, particularly housing lots, lots only, and condominium. Being hardworking, industrious, and determined to succeed. Determinations, believe on it, work for it, and be brave enough to face the challenges. To all you beginners, especially brokers that did not strive, try the challenges, just attend seminars, just do it, and you will see at the end, success become real because real estate is real. As the saying says, begin today because long journey begins with a single steps. Of course, today, of course, legacy, the company that I put up and pass it on to my kids who are in the real estate business. Thank you.
Thank you, June. Thank you for that sharing. And I know that a lot of people can empathize with you. In real estate, you really have to travel. You have. So you said that you have been to the south, to the north, and to the south, and everywhere to be able to transact, and that is good. And also one of the real thing that we have to do if we are in real estate is we have to be visible. Ayan ha. Kaya June, maraming salamat sa iyo. At I hope that I wish you all the success in your real estate endeavor. Yes, now we move on to the third segment of our episode 127, and that is the Info Beach.
Infobits, brought to you by Doc EG Live. Did you know that the economy of the Philippines is the world's 32nd largest economy by nominal GDP according to the International Monetary Fund 2021, and the 12th largest economy in Asia and the third largest economy in ASEAN after Indonesia and Thailand. The Philippines is one of the fastest growing emerging markets and the third highest economy in Southeast Asia by nominal GDP, following Thailand and Indonesia. The Philippines is primarily considered a newly industrialized country which has an economy in transition from one based on agriculture to one based more on services and manufacturing. As of 2021, GDP by purchasing power parity was estimated to be 1.47 trillion and the 18th in the world.
Wow, now we're going to discuss about the economy and the role of real estate, the role of real estate industry in the development and upliftment of the economy of the Republic of the Philippines. Yan, napakagandang topic, no? Kasi recently, one with our talk about OFW, our market, talk about 7.7 inflation, things like that. But we can mitigate, no? And we can really, as long as we are united, then I think there's nothing that we cannot, there's no obstacle we cannot surmount. Kaya po, sama-sama lang, no? At nandito rin si Gilbert Pineda. Hi, Gilbert! Naku, si Gilbert. I've not seen you for the longest time. And also, let me see. Ngayon, meron kasing carousel, no? Sino Flores? Okay. So there is now an ongoing, I think, exhibition at the Glorieta, which I'm gonna go after this program. And nandun si Lily Flores, no? Of sa carousel. Kaya makita tayo mamaya, no? And let me say hello also to Catherine Kate Dalaga Garcia, my idol. Nako, parati ko itong hinahangaan at napakagaling. And siya ay aking isa sa mga sponsors on our Portier stem cell, no? And hello, Kate. Also, Kate is also a professor, a very well-known professor of real estate management. and Rowena Apostol. Hello, Weng. Apostol is with us. And alam mo, natutuwa ako dito sa isang babatiin ko bago ko introduce yung ating speaker, no? Si past President Cielo Asilo Laksamana of Las Piñas Real Estate Board. A very courageous lady and a very lady attuned and aligned with what she's doing. And she's a very successful real estate broker and a real estate professional, no? And well, let me say hello to ROG. I think the real estate opportunities, no realty opportunities organization. No, I think that's the group that's gonna have the Christmas party, annual Christmas party on December 1, and I'll be joining you, no, and likewise Kreba is gonna have it also soon. And I want to say special mention to Tonton Leoterio, no, si Anthony Gerald Leoterio, the father or the founding or the founder and the father of Filipino Homes and Leoterio Realty. I think one of the biggest realty organization in the Philippines today. I think Tonton is now in Florida attending the NAR, the National Association of Realtors Convention. And I think I saw on Facebook na side trip siya sa Harvard University. And talaga naman si Tonton, I admire this guy, ha? And likewise to our good friend Andy Manyala, who a very successful chairman of Habitat Development Corporation and the founding member of Keller Williams in Manila Bay. Yan, ha? Okay, so let me introduce now our resource person, okay, whom I admire. Una-una, kapitbahay ko to eh. Okay, a product of De La Salle University, BS Commerce, major in management of financial institutions, and also been a member of the Philippine Association of Real Estate Board, PAREP, and a past national director of PAREP, and a president of Parañaque, Las Piñas, Alabang Real Estate Board, PLAREP, that was in 2015, and a member of the Philippine Association of Realty Appraisers, that's PARA, and a member of the Philippine Association of Realty Consultants, especially Sparks. So ito pong ating resource person has a very, ang tawag dito, glowing, masyado siyang extensive qualification that really makes her move and share her talent and expertise to our students in the real estate education. And let me tell you that our resource person is a professional accredited lecturer for real estate service professions and has extensive experience in appraisal, brokerage, and various consultancy engagement. Dami, no? And a seasoned lecturer for various real estate topics. Nakakasama ko po ito sa mga lectures, no? And has over 23 years of experience in real estate industry. Parang hindi halata, Mayan. Para bang kagagraduate mo lang ng college. And pass, pan po siya, holder of PRC licensed brokers and also appraiser and also consultant and also a licensed environmental planner in 2019. So ang dami po nitong PRC licenses. And then I think I'm so interested to really listen to our resource person. Now, naku, sisingit ko lang si Bernard Umali pala, at si Vivian Sarabia is with us, and also si Mar BC of Mode B, Mode A of the Lyceum of Alabang HRE. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to bring you guys, our esteemed resource person for this week, and that is none other than Mayan. I called it Mayan, Soratos Medina-Cue. Yan, hi Mayan. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How, Marianne? Hi.
Hello, yes sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I've been telling you sa backstage that you're one of the favorite professors, no, of our students in ASRE. Sabi nila, ang galing magturo ni Professor Mayan. Wow naman. Kaya naman
Thank you,
naisip
sir.
ko, i-share natin yung natutuhan mo sa mundo para
Yes,
maulit na
sir.
maulit naman kung ano. Kasi especially lately, di ba, napakaraming well, istorya lumalabas sa ANC, sa CNN, sa mga GMA, ABS-CBN, yung lumalabas about the economy of the Philippines. But I
Yes,
would
sir.
like to zero in on the real estate economy, the economics of real estate. Kaya I know that you are one of or the best qualified to talk about it. Okay?
Oh,
Before
thank you,
that,
sir.
meron ka ba batiin?
Okay lang, sir. Thank you for inviting me. And this is, I think, your more than 100 episodes already. And this is
127.
127. Congratulations, Doc EG. I admire you, sir, for
Wow, thank you.
for um, for for your contributions to the real estate industry, and it is my pleasure to be here, to be part of your to your program. So I really appreciate it, sir, that you
Oh,
have invited me
it
over.
is my honor also to have you. Alam ko busy ka eh. May klase ka pa
Yes,
mamayang
sir.
gabi, di ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I have already prepared for the students. So, okay na
Okay,
po sa introduction.
okay. So, would you
Okay.
like to start the ball rolling?
Yes,
You have
I
an
will,
hour.
sir. Yes, okay, sir. So, what I intend to do now is to give you my PowerPoint presentation for the introduction of real estate economics. And that is for those who are already in the real estate industry and for those who are not, but who intends to be in this business. So we would welcome you really if you would enroll at Lyceum of Alabang and get in touch with us sa ACE, and we would really be honored to have you with us. So I will start now my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, hold on for a minute.
Yan, okay.
Okay, can everybody see? Sir, can you see my
Yes,
presentation now?
yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. Okay, so
All
let's
right.
start. Okay, so what we have for this afternoon is real estate economics. So I'm sure that you all know about economics as a subject, but we would like to integrate real estate into this, and so we will have an understanding of what real estate economics really is all about. So I may not be able to present everything to you, but this is just an introduction for you to have an idea of what real estate economics really is. Okay? So let's move to the next slide. Okay. All right. For our presentation flow, this is what I would like to present to you this afternoon. So the key concepts covered are the following. First, what is real estate economics? Second, why do we need to study real estate economics? That's the second. Then we move to property market, which would give us activity indicators. No, so this would be specific to the property market. And what are the economic features of real estate? Then moving to the next one will be understanding real estate markets. And if I still have time, I may be able to present to you just a sample of a property market report. Okay. Now let's define real estate economics. So Real estate economics is the application of basic economic principles to real estate markets. It describes now, explain, and predict patterns of real estate prices, supply, building production, and demand consumption. So if you'll go back to your college days, no, when we talk of economics, we're actually talking of it's an inexact science. It's a social science, no. So if we apply this to real estate economics, it would be the same concept, no. It's just like for us, for all of us, we are involved in earning our income and buying our goods and services. So real estate is also we can give it a category like part of the services portion of our gross domestic product. So everything now will revolve around the economy, no? So for the next slide, okay. So, like what I said, it is about people and how their actions affect real estate use and values. So, for every decision made in real estate, it will actually affect the property values in a specific area. Okay, so that's just one example. Now, economic principles, both macro and micro, this will analyze the impact that national, regional, community, and neighborhood changes or trends have on real estate values and uses. Now, let's go to the macro. When we talk of macro, we're talking of the economy as a whole. No, we talk of GDP, we talk of inflation, and like what Doc E.G. Ong has mentioned earlier, that our inflation rate is really going up. So the government has to do something about this to mitigate. Otherwise, we will be losing the power of our peso increasingly, no? So it has to be controlled. Now, a BSP has a target of supposed to be 2 to 4%, no, of inflation. But I know that it is already more than 7%, no? So we will see that later as we apply that to real estate markets. Now, when we talk of real estate economics, we're actually uh, talking about general economics, its principles and theory, and real estate principles and practice. So it is a combination of the two. No, so we cannot just focus on the economic side and then say that real estate can just be included, but real estate also has principles, it has concepts that needs to be integrated, no? So if it is both the economic principles and theory, when we talk of general economics, and real estate principles in practice, if we put that together, then that will be real estate economics. Okay. Okay, for general economics, for the principles and theory, we will be talking there of supply, demand, price, and when we analyze trends, no? So that's basically the variables involved if we talk of general economic principles. And these general economic principles now will be applied to the real estate industry. So we talk about real estate principles and practice. So when we talk of supply on the general economics principles and theory, that will be applied to the housing, okay, to the housing market. No, it will also be applied to property values because values and price are two different things. No, so values actually they are affected by the actions or the behavior of the market players. The price is the negotiated price when we talk of what is really the set price in the market. Okay, so in appraisal, we talk of market values most of the time. All right. Now, real estate markets will involve not just the housing market, but also involves the commercial, no, commercial and the industrial markets. So these three different types of housing of real estate markets, they all have different behavior in terms of how the market is actually affected by the behavior of the market players in those specific real estate markets. Now, why do we need to study real estate economics? No, so for the professionals like us, it's very important that we know what is the importance of studying real estate economics. But for ordinary people who are involved who are not really professionals but who intends to buy and sell real estate, they also need to have an idea of how real estate economics really is, no, in terms of its application to the business that they have and to the investments that they're going to be doing, like buying a certain property in a certain area. They need to study the market in the area in terms of supply, in terms of demand, in terms of the activity around the area, because real estate is very dynamic, no. It involves many types of indicators, wherein one type is not the same as the other in terms of its effects on real estate markets. Okay, so if you are an investor, then you look at the market, the specific market for the buying and selling, okay, of real estate properties. If you are in the business of leasing, okay, you will look at it differently, no. So magkaiba ang investors at saka magkaiba ang mga end users. They use real estate economics, pero unconsciously akala nila it's not real estate economics, but they are actually applying it. So why do we need to study real estate economics then? It is to understand what causes value fluctuations, no, in real estate value, use, and activity, and also understand how these changes can affect local real estate markets. So the key decision areas here are in planning, in sales, financing, investments, and valuation. For valuation, it's very important for us appraisers to know real estate economics, because this is where we will be having all our data, and this data will give us an idea of how much a certain property is really worth, no, in terms of its market value compared to its comparable properties in a certain market. It could be residential market, it could be commercial market. Okay, also this is important for banking institutions. Okay, because when they have foreclosed properties that they're going to put out in the market, that will now form part of the supply, of the total supply, together with the other stock, no, that maybe those sellers in the residential market have, no, as a certain period of time. So nagko-compete ngayon sila. So that will now be the total supply, the total stock. No, let's just talk of a certain residential area, no, that the residential market, no. So we talk about residential market. We have there the home owners who would want to sell their properties, and that will compete with the foreclosed properties of the bank. So it's important that banking institutions also have an idea of what real estate economics is, because that is where they're going to put the price, no, how much price they will put or set, no, do sa kanilang mga foreclosed properties. Okay. So, what is the economic impact of the real estate industry? Number one is universal. There is a universal need for real estate. That is for shelter development. It also addresses the basic needs of the population, kasi that's one of the basic needs, no, shelter. Second, inflation. Investment in real estate is a hedge against inflation. Why do I say it's a hedge against inflation? Because we might be losing, okay, the power of the peso, but generally, one of the characteristics of real estate is that it appreciates in value. So it could be a hedge against inflation. So, like what most investors say now, it's better for them to convert the money that they have in the bank and purchase real estate property rather than keeping it in the bank, no? Kasi mas mabilis ang appreciation when they invest it in real estate. Okay? So that's where we go to the next one. Appreciation. Land generally appreciates in value. And it also has a multiplier effect, because this stimulates the economy via job creation, investment spending, and inter-industry linkages. So, pag nagbo-boom ang real estate industry natin, maraming napapasama dyan. So, we have the architects, no? We have the civil engineers, yung mga construction materials. But I know that construction materials now nag-increase to 20 to 30%. So, that is one of the considerations that investors actually have, no? If they're going to invest, They will buy property and sell a property, and then they will construct. So, liliit yung narrow down, no? Liliit yung margins nila. So, that is something that they need to consider. Increasing cost of construction materials and labor. Okay, now let's go to the property market, and we're now going to talk of the activity indicators. Okay, let's start with, okay, okay, GDP. So the number one thing that we want to consider, if you would like to look at our macros, is the national economy. So the national economy would be about our gross domestic product, inflation, unemployment, interest rates, population growth in the real estate industry. Okay? Because pag nag-increase ang population, then there will be demand for housing. Okay, that's one. Ano ba ang kasama ng housing? Nandiyan yung commercial. No? So retail market is a partner of the residential market. No? So they complement each other. Okay? Number two, now, determining the influence of economic policies, we have the monetary and fiscal policies. Okay, monetary policies, Bangko Sentral. Okay, the Central Bank of the Philippines, sila ang gumagawa ng mga monetary policies. However, fiscal policies naman, yan ang ginagawa ng government. Okay, so they work hand in hand now in order to grow the economy. Then they need to have uh, certain policies like for the Banco Central, we will be discussing that later on about controlling money supply that actually causes inflation. For fiscal policies, taxes is one. Second is pump priming. Pump priming is where the government contributes to the total GDP by building infrastructures. When they build infrastructures, ang effect nun is that magkakaroon ng development, no? Magkakaroon ng development. Pag nagkaroon ng development, then tataas ang property values. Okay? So that's how the government and Bangko Sentral actually helps, no? In the growth of our economy. Okay, assessment of market trends in the real estate markets. Okay, that's one. Okay, now let's talk of gross domestic product. To define it, it measures national income and output for a given country's economy. Now, the gross domestic product is equal to the total expenditures for all final goods and services produced within the country in a stipulated period of time. Now, when we say consumer spending, okay, when we say that we need to encourage consumer spending because this actually contributes to the total economy. So pagka masyado nagsisave, yung population natin, walang gumagastos, no? So hindi nag-grow in economy. So it's important that consumer spending is encouraged, okay, by the government, no? So we need to control increasing prices of goods and services. This is just the formula for GDP. This consumption plus investments plus government spending. So government spending is what we call pump priming. No? So this will go to infrastructures, building of roads, building of bridges, no? Plus exports, less imports. So that's how we compute for the total or for the gross domestic product of a certain country. Now, the estimate, okay, for the year 2022 for our GDP is $433.195 billion. Now, the GDP growth is 7.5% currently. And so that's the reason why I think we were congratulated by some of our neighboring countries because we are second to Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. So tayo is 7.5% yung ating growth. And there is still potential for the Philippine economy. What are the activity indicators? Like what I mentioned, we have a growth rate of gross value added in real estate. Now, yung GDP kasi natin, no, ang mga components dyan is that we have manufacturing, we have agriculture, we have services. And the real estate industry is part of the services sector, no? Parang yung pinaka-component ng GDP. Nandun tayo under services. Now, construction expenditures is also one, and also housing starts and housing backlog. So dito meron talaga tayong backlog, no? That is for the residential market. Another one will be population. So pag nag-increase ang population, then definitely mag-increase ang demand for shelter. That's one. Inflation and consumer price index. That's another activity indicator. And then growth in money supply. So why do we need to control money supply? Because this will cause inflation. Pag mataas na yan, yung mga prices natin, we are losing the power of our peso. Now, bank credits and real estate construction. So, bank credits, ito yung mga interest rates na binibigay sa mga home buyers, those who would like to get home loans. And we also have loans for investors, no? Yung gusto mag-construct, no? Iba-iba yan. So, it could be commercial, it could be industrial. So, the interest rate is very, very critical to them. Okay? Pag mataas ang interest rates, then they might have to maybe defer muna yung kanilang plans of constructing because liliit yung kanilang mga profit margins. And also for more in terms of amortization payments. Okay? So there, we go sa home mortgage lending rates. Yan yung mga home loan rates. And employment. So pag mataas ang ating employment rate, then mas marami ang makaka-afford. Alright? Pag yung kanilang sweldo ay kasya doon sa mga monthly amortizations. But that is a good indicator. If our employment rate is increasing, it only means that mas malaki ang demand, no? For residential properties, maybe that's one, and maybe for commercial properties is number two. Okay, monetary policy and fiscal policy, just like what I mentioned earlier, are two important policies that needs to be implemented by the government if they need to mitigate, no, yung ating increasing prices of goods and services that causes inflation. Okay, for the growth rate of gross value real estate, it measures now the income and production derived from real estate and related services. So we're talking here of sales of residential lots, lease income, home purchase. So lahat yan pinagsasama-sama. And it is expressed in current price or real volume terms. So now this accounts for a certain percentage of services sector of our gross domestic product. So malaki ang contribution ng real estate industry sa service sector, no? Okay, number two is construction expenditures. Construction expenditures now measures aggregate value of investments made in housing, office space, hotels, and government infrastructures. Okay. Now, volume of construction is indicated now by building permits in an area. And the third one is leading sector in a business cycle upturn and demonstrates strong multiplier effect of related industries. Now, one of the characteristics of real estate is that it takes time to build. No? So when it takes time to build, habang tumatagal yan and they're building, that will now add up to the total stock or the total supply. So that's why we say it is a leading sector in the business cycle upturn. So it adds up to the total supply. Now, volume of government expenditures on infrastructure is also part of yung sa ating construction expenditures. I don't have the recent one, but looking at this graph, no, the GDP construction in Philippines increased to 341,500 million in the second quarter of 2021. From 222 346 million in the first quarter of 2021. So, ang source dito ay yung NSO. So, as you can see, ang taas nung January 2020, no? Pero nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, so bumaba yan, no? So, I still have to get the recent one, no? It's just that I wasn't able to get it right now for me to show you, but it's one of the things that I would encourage you to look at, no? If you'd like to really study real estate economics. right? So housing starts and housing backlogs, that's also one of the activity indicators. So what do we mean by housing starts? It is a leading indicator of business activity in the near-term residential. So now we are talking about the residential market. Now, what is the indicator? The indicator is that building permits granted for residential property. So, lahat naman ng mga residential owners na gusto mag-build, no? Siyempre, they need to submit sa mga LGUs. Tapos yan, they compile and see how many actually have applied for building permits, no? And is measured by the number of units of new residential dwellings. Okay. So it says here that we have a total backlog of 6.75 million units of housing backlog as reported by the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. No? And this can potentially balloon to 22 million units by 2040 if left unaddressed. Okay. So when we talk of housing backlog, ito yung nasa socialized, economic, and low cost, no? Wala tayong backlog sa open market, no? Or sa medium cost, which is 3 million to 4 million. And also for the open market, which is above 4 million. But for this sector ng socialized, economic, and low cost, meron tayong backlog dyan. No? Sabi dito, in fact, there's an oversupply of high-priced housing units in this study. So, the creation of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development Act was in February 14, no? So, kinonsolidate na nila. Isa na lang. Okay? So, let's now talk of inflation rate. Okay, ito yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, and this is what Doc EG also mentioned to you about inflation rate. So, inflation now is defined as a sustained increase in the level of prices in goods and services. So, the major determinant of the purchasing power of the consumer. Okay, so dito we will gauge, no, yung dati nating mabibili natin ng 1 peso, no, nagiging 1 peso and 50 cents, no? Or 1 peso, it loses its value, it now becomes 50 cents, no? So, yun ang tinitingnan natin when we talk of inflation rate. Now, it affects spending priorities. Consumer durables versus non-durables. There are those which are really basic, and there are those na hindi masyadong basic, like if we talk of the real estate industry, yung mga hotels, mga resorts, recreation sector of the real estate industry, kung nawawala yung power ng peso mo, you need to prioritize first on your basic necessities. So instead of putting some money in that sector of the real estate market, when we talk of hotels or resorts, no, medyo nawawala. So nawawala ngayon yung demand for that particular sector because of the power of the peso losing its power, no? Doon lang tayo sa mga basic commodities, no? Sabihin natin 100,000 or 10,000 lang ang sweldo mo, and you would like to allocate a certain percentage supposed to be for recreational activities, nawawala yon if we lose the power of the peso. Okay? So this is a fundamental driver of interest on home loans. Okay, so that one I will explain in a bit. So ano yung inflation rate natin? The annual inflation rate in the Philippines climbed to 7.7% in October of 2022 from 6.9% in August, topping market forecast of 7.1%. So as you can see, tumataas ang ating inflation rate. So the government needs to do something about this. Okay. How do we measure inflation rate? We measure inflation rate by what we call yung ating consumer price index. Now, it represents changes in the level of retail prices for the basic consumer basket. It's like in a certain, it's a basket, no, of basic commodities. So doon, ginigauge nila, kapag tumataas ang presyo nun, then that means that tumataas ang ating inflation rate. No? Mga basic goods like sugar, rice, no? Ano pa ba? Fuel. Ayan, ang taas na ng ating fuel ngayon. Kasi, of course, because of the war, no? So, kaya that affects most of the goods and services, no, na meron tayo, nag-increase ang inflation rate. Now, we lose the power of our peso because of that. Now, when we talk of real estate market and inflation, ano ba kinalaman nitong inflation sa ating real estate market? Why do you always talk about inflation, no? Now that we are, or if we are part of the real estate industry and we are real estate professionals, then we need to know the connection of inflation and of the real estate market. So, increase in inflation hurts mortgage lenders. Okay, I'll discuss it first. Now, if you are a banking institution, okay. Ang monthly amortization, sabihin natin 5%, no? Yung 2 years, 5 to 6% ang interest rates before. So you have a certain amount that you need to charge, no? Yung monthly amortizations that your clients, no, will need to pay you. Pero pag tumataas ang inflation rate, yung amount na yon is no longer the same. So nasa-sacrifice yung portion na yon. So since it's the peso is losing its power or lumiliit ang value niya, it's no longer the same. So pag tumaas ang inflation rate, diyan hurt yung mga mortgage lenders. No? So that's one. Second, increased interest rates, it prevent potential real estate buyers from qualifying for loans due to high amortization payments. And this reduces now demand for real estate. So it follows. Kapag mataas ang interest rates, anyone in an investor or a residential buyer would think twice if they're going to get a home loan, no? Or a loan for construction for their businesses. Kasi nga, mataas ang interest rate. So they need to think twice about this. However, kapag ka ang interest rates naman ay reasonable, for example, nandito tayo sa 5% or 6%. Now, I have no idea yet no, how much the existing interest rates are. No? However, ganun ang pinaka-basic concept niyan. No? It encourages borrowers to borrow pagka mababa ang interest rates kasi amortization payments nila will be manageable and reasonable. Now, increase in cost of construction, it decrease in real estate development also because investors would need to borrow tapos mataas ang kanilang babayaran sa mga bangko, then they need to think twice also if it's a good idea to borrow money for construction. Most especially now that construction materials are really going up by 20 to 30%. And added to that is the interest payments that they, or rather the amortization payments with high interest rates that they need to pay their banks, no? So that's another thing. Now, increase in prices reduce discretionary income. It is harmful to the recreational and leisure real estate markets. So like what I said, pagka tumataas masyado yung mga prices, then yung discretionary income mo lumiliit. And because lumiliit, it could be harmful to recreational and leisure real estate markets. Kasi yung dati mong allocation, for example, no, for a month, for a family to go to mag-staycation or vacation somewhere, lumiliit yung kanilang discretionary income because they need to allocate their money for basic necessities first. Okay? Kasi nga, nagtataasan ng presyo in both goods and services. How is inflation rate related to real estate? Now, increasing money supply causes inflation and house prices to increase. Yung dating mabibili mong bahay na 10 million because of inflation nagiging 12, nagiging 13, no? So, doon na ngayon na nagkakaroon ng ano, no? Doon na nagkakaroon ng decision if ever you're a residential buyer na dati about a year ago you're looking at a certain house, it was only 10 million, and after a year or two it now became 13 to 14 million. So you will think twice if you're still going to get into that say you are an investor, no, or if you're going to use it for your own, no? So that's one. Number two, one of the other major factors that causes house prices to increase is interest rates. Now, when interest rates are low, okay, buying homes can be more affordable for home buyers and increase the demand for homes. So it follows. Pag mababa ang interest rates, it becomes more affordable, then tumataas ang demand for homes, no? for purchase of homes. Now, if the supply of homes now remain constant, kung pareho lang yan, okay, because like what we said, one of the characteristics of real estate is that it takes time to build. Now, if the supply of homes remain constant and the demand increases, then the prices of homes will eventually increase as well. No? Pag tumataas ang presyo, because sa real estate, no, or sa economics, we talk of demand, we talk of supply, we talk of price. So yun yung mga variables na nag-change, no? Depende doon sa behavior ng market, no? Of both buyers and sellers, lessees or lessors, because they would represent either they are on the supply side or they are on the demand side. Now let's talk about monetary and fiscal policy. So growth in money supply is an indicator of amount of liquid assets available now for consumer spending. Ito yung pera umiikot sa atin sa economy. Now, it is measured by total currency. For total currency, savings, and time deposits and foreign currency holdings. Okay? Now, greater liquidity also translates into more funds available for real estate and other investments. So, pag maraming pera umiikot sa economy, sa banks natin, mas malaki ang nagiging allocation ng mga banking institutions, no, for real estate investments because there are more funds that pwede nilang ipautang. Now, we have to remember that sa mga bangko, ang liability nila ay yung mga deposits, but they earn sa kanilang mga loans. Okay? So, the more funds they have, the more na pwede nilang ipautang, then the more income that they will have as well. Now, too much money can cause inflation and harm real estate markets. So, pag tumataas ang demand, syempre naghahabulan yan, no? Yung prices tumataas din. So, that causes inflation. So, money supply expands. Interest rates drop. Credit now becomes easier. This stimulates spending and increase demand for resources, goods, and services. So, you will see how it goes, no? Pag na-expand yung supply natin ng pera, maraming pera, nagda-drop ang interest rates because nagko-compete, no? Nagko-compete yung mga bangko na pwedeng magpautang kasi marami silang pondong ipapautang, no? For real estate investments. That's one example. Now, this stimulates spending and increased demand for resources, goods, and services. So, that's what happens now when money supply expands. And increases in money supply now will stimulate demand beyond the ability of the economy to increase supply, and the result will be inflation. No? A rise in general prices, too much money chasing too few goods. Kasi nag-aagawan. We have to remember that scarcity, no? When we say scarcity, that actually brings up prices. It creates value. It creates more value. Kasi ano yan eh, when we talk of economics, is allocation of resources, di ba? Doon sa mga nangangailangan, yung may demand, yung may desire for certain goods and services. So, that's what happens. Now, BSP controls money supply. So, the primary objective is for them to maintain price stability. Now, this is supposed to be conducive to a balanced and sustainable growth of the economy. It promotes and maintains monetary stability and convertibility of the peso. It also regulates the supply of money and credit in order to achieve growth, no, and to control inflation and also unemployment. So who does that? Who controls money supply? It's our Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Okay? Paano ba nila kinokontrol doon? No? How do they control money supply? First, changes in the reserve requirement. Okay. Second, open market operations and changes in discount rate. So, ang Bangko Sentral is the bank of all the banks. No? Siya yung pinakami, nagpapautang siya sa mga bangko. No? And also, this is when we talk of discount rates. And they change also the reserve requirement of the banks. That's also how they control money supply, and also in open market operations like treasury bills, no, or treasury bonds. Now, for the stabilization of the economy, number one, BSP can adopt measure to reduce or increase domestic liquidity to manage the inflation rate. So they need to control money supply. Okay? Diyan papasok yung mga monetary policies ng BSP. Number two, easier monetary policy lead to increased availability and lower cost of credit, while tighter policy has the opposite effect. Okay? Number three, pump priming is a fiscal policy tool aimed at stimulating private investing. So we talk now of infrastructure spending. And fiscal policy, ito, by the government, no? It relates to taxes and expenditures, monetary policy to financial markets, okay? And the supply of credit, money, and other financial assets. That's for our BSP. So we have fiscal policy and we have monetary policy. Now let's talk of bank credits in real estate construction. Real estate is a highly leveraged sector of the economy. So if you like to borrow money from the bank, the only acceptable collateral for them is real estate in most cases. No? So it is highly leveraged. Number two, it indicates availability of bank funds for property acquisition, development, and home finance. And third, it's driven by the monetary and fiscal policy of the government, okay, and by BSP. So we have here banking regulations and the risk aversion of banks. If you remember, doon sa subprime market na nangyari sa US, di ba? Bumagsak yung kanilang economy because of that. They were giving out loans to just anybody without even qualifying them. But I think that the reason why we were not so affected in that sense is that very strict ang ating mga bangko in qualifying borrowers, no? Most especially for home loans kasi ano to long term, no? Okay, so home mortgage lending rates. The key financing cost indicator for developers, and this is for short term, and end users for mortgage rates. And level of interest rates are inversely related to investments in construction and real estate. Pag mababang interest rates, mataas ang demand for investments. Pag mataas ang interest rates, bumababa ang demand for investments, most especially for construction. Huh? So it is inversely related. I think this was about a year or 2 years ago. I do not have the updated home lending rates. You may want to check it out, no? But that's just an example. Okay, 2 years ago. Now, for employment is also an activity indicator. Employment indicators reflect the overall health of the economy or business cycle. Now, for inflation measurement, it is also important to monitor the speed at which wages are growing. No? Wages are growing, it means that maraming pera umiikot sa economy. So wages are growing, more funds, no? That's also one way to gauge, no, or to measure inflation rate. Now, in order to understand how an economy is functioning, it is important to know how many jobs are being created or destructed, and what percentage of the workforce is actively working, and how many new people are claiming unemployment. So I remember there was a time when yung ating mga call center agents, no, they were earning so much, and at the time nakaka-afford sila to do make a down payment for a condominium unit. So that's an example of how employment actually helps, no, in the real estate industry, because it also builds, no, yung demand for certain sectors of the real estate market, no, of certain real estate markets. Okay, this is for the second quarter of 2021. It's 91.27. Okay, so maybe I can skip this already kasi hindi siya updated, no? But to just let you know that this is one of the most important activity indicators, no? When we talk of macros. So the population is 112.10 million nung 2021, but maybe it grew a bit, no? Ngayong 2022. So we'll take a look at that at the end of the year and see yung growth ng ating population. Okay. So, I think I still have enough time. Doc EG, just let me know if I have to stop already. But I will continue with my presentation. Okay. So we'll go to the second segment now. We are now going to talk of the economic features of real estate. Okay. Okay. So you see there's demand, there's supply and demand. Okay, are very basic economic principles. Now, in the real estate market, it is a place where forces of demand and supply operate. This includes mechanisms for real estate values and prices. So, on one hand, we have the sellers and the lessors, and on the other hand, we have buyers and lessees. So, which one belongs to the supply side and which one now belongs to the demand side? So these are our market players. For the demand side, we have home buyers, no? We have investors. Now for the supply side, we have the builders, we have lessors, okay? We have developers. Okay, that's just one example. Now looking at the macro view, this is the real estate market. We have public housing development. So that will be on the supply side, okay? Because they will be giving, well, rather, they're going to construct, no, housing projects for the socialized housing sector. Okay, just one example. We also have the prospective homeowners that will now form part of our demand side, no? So part yan ng demand. Office space lessees, that belongs to the supply side. Foreign and local investors, okay, that's demand. Okay, real property owned and acquired, they belong to the supply side. Okay, residential and commercial property stock, that will be on the supply side. And traditional property developers, they could either be on the demand side and they could also be on the supply side, because they also need to purchase properties, or to purchase big parcels of land that they're going to develop. So naghahanap sila, they are on the demand side. But when they start building and selling, then that will form part of the supply. Okay. Okay. What are certain real estate market characteristics? There are many, but I just listed a few. First, it is an imperfect market. Second, immobility of the investment. Immobility of the investment because one of the characteristics of real estate is that it is unique. So even if you say that there are two adjacent properties magkatabi, magkaiba pa rin ang orientation yan, no? So the location of this particular property A is different from the location of property B. That's why we have technical descriptions in our transfer certificates of title, no? So yun ang characteristic because it is unique. And production takes time. When we're going to build, it takes time. For an ordinary residential property on a 300 square meter lot, it could take, depende, no, dun sa construction, it could take 6 months, okay, to about a year and a half. Okay, so that's one example, no? And also high transaction cost. High transaction cost because when you sell, we have their certain taxes of capital gains. We have their VAT that we need to pay the government if we are a corporation, if the property that we have is considered an ordinary asset. We have to pay broker's fee or professional fees, and segmented markets. So when we say segmented markets, if we're talking of one condominium development, they cater to different types of market. It could cater to different types of market. It could cater to bachelors, say studio type. It could cater to a family of 2 or 3, no? Na merong 2 to 3 bedrooms. So may mga demographics yan. That's why it is a segmented market, highly segmented market when we talk of real estate, of a real estate market. No? Now, when we compare real estate versus stocks and bonds, for real estate, every piece of real estate is unique, no? But for stocks and bonds, homogeneous, same goods are traded. For real estate, one buyer, many sellers, it's a buyer's market. That's why we say it is an imperfect market. But for stocks and bonds, there are many buyers and many sellers. So that is more or less a perfect market because buyers and sellers, they are both informed. They're both informed of the stocks. Okay? Kasi centralized ang kanilang market, no, sa stock exchange. But for real estate, it's not centralized. That's why it is an imperfect market. And high transaction cost. So when you buy or you sell, you need to pay a lot of taxes. You have to pay the professional fees. But for stocks and bonds, there are no exit and entry barriers. You can buy now and sell tomorrow. So even the cost that will be incurred to you in selling is not as much, no, as compared to real estate transactions. So real estate is imperfect knowledge. That's why it's an imperfect market. But for stocks and bonds, perfect knowledge. They are well informed, the buyers and the sellers. Now, real estate is traded less frequently, but stocks and bonds are traded more frequently. Now, in real estate, superior knowledge is a benefit. But for stocks and bonds, insider trading is forbidden. What do I mean by superior knowledge is a benefit? If you have that information that a certain road will pass by your property, okay, are you going to sell your property? No, you're going to hold on to your property until market values actually increase because of the road that will be constructed beside your property. Okay? So, of course, meron tayo siyang tinatawag na expropriation, but let's just assume that it is near your property. So, you would know that property values will actually increase. So, one example of that is also when BF Homes, where Doc EG and I actually live, there was a time na walang tubig, no? There was no water here in BF Homes. But, nung nagkaroon na ng water, and if there's anyone who knows that information, then that particular person, if that's a real estate professional, a broker, would actually encourage their sellers not to sell yet because definitely property values will increase. So that is where we say that superior knowledge is a benefit for real estate. Okay. Now, for the law of supply and demand, no? Now we are already discussing yung mga basic economic principles as it relates to real estate industry, to the real estate industry. So if there's a low supply and high demand, price tends to go higher. So that is the seller's market. But if the supply is high and there's low demand, naturally price tends to go lower. That now becomes a buyer's market. Okay, what are the real estate demand concepts? First, the fundamental law of demand states that the quantity demanded declines with price, or in real terms, that a lower amount of space or number of units is demanded at higher prices. So that is a basic concept, no, in relation to real estate. So as you can see dito sa graph natin, no? So nag-increase ang price. Okay? So pag nag-increase ang price, then quantity will be demanded less if there's a price increase. So you can see two graphs here. One will be for those products which are not so affected by price increases. And there's another one which is affected by price increases. Price increases are a major factor, no? If we're talking of if there are a lot of substitutes, no, in a certain real estate market, then mas malaki ang probability na even na pag tumaas ang prices, then the quantity will actually be reduced, no? Okay? So it will now depend on the number of substitutes in the market. Okay? So effective demand, it is demand backed up by purchasing power. So it's not well, I would say it's not considered if you just want it, or if you desire it without having the capacity to pay. So effective demand is actually backed up by that purchasing power. It means that you'll be able to purchase a property if you have that desire or need for that property. Then you will form part of the demand. No, however, pag wala, then you're just one of those who just likes and have a desire for a certain real estate property but with no capacity, then you're not included. No? Parang ganyan, no? So, price elasticity of demand is an important trait of the demand curve is the sensitivity of quantity demanded to price changes. Generally, in real estate, it is inelastic, no? Okay. Price changes, the actual price increases and expected price changes. Exogenous drivers of real estate demand would include market size. So we have their population, employment, income, wealth, and prices of substitutes. So we're just on the demand side. No, wala pa tayo sa supply. But these are basic demand concepts. Price elasticity of demand is an important trait, like what I said, of the demand curve, the sensitivity of quantity demanded to price changes. So, price elasticity simply shows by what percent the quantity demanded will actually decrease in response to a 1% increase in price. On the average, real estate demand is price inelastic. Okay? So it's not affected so much as compared to mga basic goods, no? An inelastic demand schedule implies that demand is insensitive to price increases or that large price increases induce relatively small decreases in the quantity demanded. Okay? So, when we talk of elasticity, ito yung kanyang definition of inelastic demand. No? The price elasticity of demand is determined by the availability of substitutes. For example, a product with few substitutes, such as luxury housing, should have a less elastic demand than a product with plenty of substitutes, such as middle income housing. Okay? So, why is the concept of the price elasticity of demand relevant for real estate analysis on the macro and micro level? At the macro level, it can help gauge the impact of changes in market prices or rents on demand and more specifically on the demand of space and or number of units demanded. So ito pinag-aaralan to ng mga investors. How much ang pwedeng i-absorb ng market if they're going to increase their price, no? Okay? So that's one. They need to study that. So at the micro level, it can help investors, no, as a definition to that, and developers assess the impact of price increases on revenues. Apart from the quantity that will be demanded, they also need to gauge their increases in revenues, no? Impact of actual price changes versus expected price changes. So actual price changes would definitely affect, no, the quantity demanded. And also for expected price changes. Like if you hear some of our real estate agents say, sir, bumili na po kayo ngayon kasi next week tataas na ho ang price. So we always hear that from our real estate agents. So it increases demand because of those expected price changes or expected price increases. Now, actual price increases now impact to a lesser or a greater extent depending on the price elasticity of demand. Price is an endogenous determinant of demand. So this is very technical already, no? But just to give you an example of the effects of price to demand, no? And this is something that we also need to take a look at, no? Most especially for those investors who are very keen on studying the developments that they have, or rather the residential projects that they have, how it will affect their revenues, and at the same time how it will affect the market, no? So that is the reason why it's important for us to study, most especially for this particular market players of real estate economics, because it will affect greatly, no, yung kanilang mga investments. No, expected price changes, demand is triggered not by actual prices, just like what I mentioned, but by the expectation of price increases. Thus, Expected price changes are exogenous, non-price determinants of demand, but it actually affects demand, no? Okay. Okay, so we'll go now to the drivers of real estate demand. So we have the market size, that's the population. Pag nag-i-increase ang population in a certain area, nagmo-move ang population, say, to from an agricultural land or yung dating yung market was agricultural, nagiging residential kasi na nagkakaroon na ng mga tao. So nag-i-increase ngayon ang demand, no, for residential property. So if you notice pagka nag-build ang SM, no, diyan dumadami kasi SM also attracts investors, no, to invest in that particular area. Yung dating naka-zone ng agricultural, nag-i-evolve siya, nagiging siya residential, no? Income and wealth. Okay. Income, if you have the capacity to pay, then you are on that demand side, no? So that affects, no, demand also. Income and wealth, and also prices of substitutes and expectations, price increases, and lastly, availability of credit. So pag mababa ang interest rates, then borrowers will be encouraged to borrow from the bank, and very affordable ang kanilang monthly amortizations. They'll be able to invest whether or not they are in the mga commercial spaces or residential properties that they want to invest in. So let's talk of the market size. Market size variables that drive the demand for real estate include, again, population, employment, or output, okay, depending on the property type under consideration. Okay, so dyan na ngayon papasok ang real estate markets, pwedeng residential, commercial, industrial. For income and wealth, it affects directly the demand for retail and residential real estate in the sense that keeping prices constant. Okay, pag constant ang prices, as income increases, more households now can afford to buy a house and a greater amount is available for retail spending. Uh, Retail and residential markets, they complement each other. Now, pag mas mataas pa yung ano nila, yung income nila, and then the prices remain constant, and they will have more discretionary income that they can spend on staycations, no, sa mga recreational activities. So tataas ngayon ang demand for mga hotels, no, mga resorts, no, kasi that's also part of the real estate industry, but that belongs to a different sector. Nasa recreational sector sila. Okay. Now, price of substitutes. The price of substitutes could also include shifts in the demand for real estate. So it will now depend, no? If you have a lot of substitutes for a certain, let's say you have 2 or 3 comparable properties and they're all the same in terms of amenities, they're all the same in terms of characteristics or location, wala masyadong difference. So one type will actually move to decrease, no, yung supply in another area. Let's talk of 2 different locations. So even the demand curve will actually change, no, pagka maraming substitutes. Expectations, consumer or firm expectations may induce shifts in demand for the different types of real estate. So pag mayroong expectation for price increase, it increases demand. Now, let's go to the real estate supply concepts. Nandun na tayo sa kabilang side. We discussed the supply concept, or rather the demand concept, real estate demand concepts. Now we'll go to the real estate supply concepts. Real estate supply refers now to the in general, to a schedule that describes the quantity of commercial space or housing units supplied at various prices. Now, the fundamental law of supply, which states that greater quantity is supplied at higher prices. So when we take a look at this, no, if you see 2 or 3 developers in an area, or maybe just one developer in a certain residential condominium, building houses for end users, okay, taas ang kanyang revenue because he's the only developer in that area. Okay? So, pag may nakakita isang developer that maganda ang revenue, then they're actually motivated to add add to the supply rather. So, that's one of the main motivators is profit. No? So, nagdadagdag. Now, let's talk now of long aggregate supply, short aggregate supply, and new construction. For the long aggregate supply, it depicts the relationship between long run prices or rents and the total number of units or square footage supplied over the long run. Okay, remember, uh, we said that real estate, no, construction takes time. So the graph will be like this, medyo gradual yan kasi long term. So this is used in cross-market analysis as well as in theoretical studies focusing on the long-run behavior of real estate. Okay? Let's move to the next slide. Now, let's talk about short-run aggregate supply. Now, it refers to a market total stock at a given point in time. An example that I can give you is that um, the supply yesterday will be the same as next week. No? Parang ganun lang yan. Kasi nga, it takes time to build. Okay? So, it doesn't change. It now becomes a straight line here. Hindi gradual, katulad dun sa nakita natin. Excuse me, pag long run aggregate supply because it takes time nga to build. So, humahabol yung supply. No? Now, for new construction, it refers to completions. Number one. Number two, important supply concept in understanding how real estate markets move and adjust through time. The higher the property prices, the higher the quantity of new space supplied in the market. Okay? There will be competition now kapag nakikita ng second developer na tumataas ang at maganda ang presyo, no? Then pumapasok na rin siya. So it increases supply. New construction will add up now to the total supply in the market, whether it is in the long run or the short run, almost the same rather. Pero if you talk of long run, because it takes time to build, then it adds up to the total supply until such time that there will be that the market is already saturated. No? Then what happens there is that the consequence of that is that prices now will begin to decrease because of oversupply in the market. No? Because the sellers will actually compete with each other doon sa existing demand in the market. In that particular real estate market. No? So what determines new construction? The major motivation for development of every speculative commercial real estate project or housing development is profit. So we have to remember that, no? That is the main or major motivation. Availability and cost of factors of production. Factors of production, we have their land, labor, entrepreneurial management, no, construction materials. So that will also be considered, no, if we're going to have or develop a real estate project. Expectations regarding future real estate demand and prices. So, like what we said dun sa ating mga slides, no, that I presented earlier, it's important for the planning division of a real estate development company to study, no, a future real estate demand and prices, because if they need to compete, they should know specifically if they're going to earn, no? If they're going to earn. So they have to put in all the elements, no, needed in computing or calculating their return of investment. That's why in real estate investments, it's important for us to also know the discounted cash flow analysis if we are doing a certain study or doing a feasibility study, no, for certain real estate projects. No? So dyan papasok yung mga internal rate of return, but I think that is for another lecture later on. No, perceived market risk. What are the risks involved here if you'd like to put up a certain real estate project? Okay, this is most applicable to big real estate developers. That's why before studying the market, they have to have a highest and best use analysis and then followed by feasibility studies. just to make sure that they're not going to lose, no, or they're still going to achieve that goal that they have in terms of revenues. Okay, factors of production would be capital, okay, labor, land, and building materials. So the cost of these factors negatively affect the amount of new space developed in the market. In particular, the higher the cost of capital, ito yung mga ating factors of production, no? Labor, land, and building materials, the higher the cost of the project, then the smaller the profit and the lesser the motivation of investors and developers to provide new space. Thus, an increase in the cost of any of these factors, no, should induce a downward shift of the new construction schedule since a smaller amount of space will be provided at the same price level. So investors here, an example, no? Example natin investors dito, pag mataas ang cost nila for production, definitely they will not be encouraged to build more. So that would slow down yung part sa side ng supply. How real estate markets react to changes in demand. Number one, an increase in demand will reduce the number of existing vacancies, office space, retail space, and homes. Reduction now in vacancies will be followed by increase in rents and prices. The next one is as demand pushes prices and rents up, investors and builders now are motivated by high profits and they are drawn to the construction market. The construction now takes place slowly and supply of real estate gradually increases. So supply eventually overtakes demand. Now it will result now to vacancies beginning to rise, decrease in rents and prices. Now, lower rents and prices, that will now be the difference between building costs and sales prices. They will begin to narrow. So that's how it moves, no? Yung sa ating real estate market, no? So we've considered here demand, price, no, and we have considered also supply, and on top of that we need to take a look at all our macros like employment, inflation rate, home lending rates, okay, and rates that the banks give to developers or builders. Okay, so parang ano yan, may certain may cycle yan, no, may cycle. So it's important to know real estate economics if you are a real estate professional, no? Because more or less you'll be able to project, you'll be able to study kung ano man ang market that you are involved in. It may be real estate, rather residential, commercial, industrial, or recreational. Okay. I hope I did not overwhelm you too much. Okay. Law of demand, the lower the price, the more consumers will buy. The higher the price, the less they will buy. So that is the demand curve, no? So pag mataas ang supply, pag mataas ang price, bumababa ang demand, no? But if the price is here, then more is demanded. Okay. On the other hand, baliktad naman sa supply curve, sellers or producers will offer more goods and services for sale as prices increase, no? As prices increase, okay? So tumataas ang supply and less as prices decrease. Now, higher prices means higher profit. That is why motivation yan ng mga developers if they'd like to go in the market, no? Get into the market, then that is their main motivation, profits. Okay. So I was told to stop at 4:45. Am I right, Sir EG? Because I might be taking too much of your time. But I guess yeah, we can end here. I was able
No,
to
no, no. It's a
discuss.
very interesting topic, but we might run out of time. So you can do
Yes.
it in 10 minutes. Sige.
Ah, okay.
Wrap up mo na in 10 minutes. Supply and
I'll
demand
wrap
yan.
it up. Sige, wrap up. Okay. So dito sa slide natin, we have demand, we have supply, then we have the price. Okay? At a certain point, magkakaroon yan ng equilibrium. At what point will both market players will actually accept, no? Ano yung ma-absorb nila dun sa market at a given price. So that is the equilibrium point. Buyers and sellers coming together in real estate market, sellers setting their prices too high, lesser demand. But when sellers adjust their prices for enough to make a profit, now movement now would come to a point where quantity that buyers are willing to purchase equals the quantity that sellers are willing to sell. So that is what we call the equilibrium point. Kung nagmi-meet na sila, no? Doon sa hinihingi ng sellers and the buyers what they are willing to to pay, no? So there you see the graph, the price, the demand, the supply, and at a certain point we have there the equilibrium price, both acceptable to both market players. Changes the demand and the supply curve to shift. Number one, if the supply is the same, demand increases, prices would increase, sellers would increase production to take advantage of higher prices. Now, increasing demand and supply now would create a new equilibrium. So, nag-change yung demand curve. It now will depend, no? Doon sa movement. Sa introduction ko kanina sa inyo, sa real estate economics, it is a social science. It is an inexact science where the prices and values will actually change depending on the behavior of the market players involved. So there you see, whatever real estate market decision they make will actually uh, affect, no? Whether or not they are on the supply side or they are on the demand side. Now, if demand remain constant while supply decrease in prices, it reached now a new equilibrium point to match the new level of demand. It could go higher, it could go lower. It will depend now on how the market will absorb, no, price increases. But if they have a need, most especially if the population is growing and there's really demand, then it also moves to that point, no? Okay. Um, So real estate markets, we have housing market, we have commercial, industrial, and recreational. So we're narrowing down on the real estate markets involved now, no? Because the study made in these types of market will differ from each other. It will depend on the type of market that they cater to. It now depend on the factors that will affect this particular market, whether or not housing, commercial, industrial, or recreational. Okay, so that is our housing market. Okay, the next one, supply of residential housing, fixed in the short term. Second, conversions and new construction. Third, change of land use and zoning regulations. So if we see the market moving from an agricultural sector, land rather, to a residential zoning, then it changes. Okay, so that is on the supply of residential housing. For the commercial, industrial, and recreational real estate markets, the economic issues here or the major value influences, okay, or influencers are first, demand is tied to the business cycle. Okay, so if the economy is booming, then um, the demand for commercial, no, recreational, and industrial will also be more or less the same. No, the business cycle. Supply factors is also critical, no, that they need to study. Financing is critical. You know, are they going to get enough funding from the banks, given that interest rates are high? Okay, so but if interest rates are low, then they will be encouraged more to build and to develop, and also
Meron
government
intang
controls.
tumala yan, dami oh.
Yes, sir. I end now my presentation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good. And talagang I think they would agree that there is an overload of information. Nawala ka, Mayan.
Yeah,
Video, nawala video mo. Video lang, video. Pindutin mo yung video.
video. Ay, nawala po.
Start cam.
Okay. So, I'll see. There.
Nawala ka.
Nawala ako, sir.
Oo, video cam. Yung sa kwan mo, sige.
Opo. This one.
Ayan na. Okay. Actually, I was listening to you intensely and there were some questions that came up saying that it was a very complete introduction. Saya lang daw kulang ng oras. However, I promised them we're gonna have a second run, ha? Sometime siguro in January. Okay.
Yes.
So, but
Yes,
there
sir.
are two questions. Okay ka ba? Two questions that
Sige,
are
sir. I'll try
that
my
are
very
sent to me,
best.
which need your advice or opinion. Sabi niya,
Sige,
what
sir.
can you say about inflation registered at
Okay.
7.7% by the Philippine
What can I
Statistical
say about
Authority
inflation?
and NEDA? I am an OFW working in Qatar. We want to buy a house and lot, but my wife doesn't told me that it cannot make both ends meet because prices of goods and commodities also go up. Ayan. What can you say?
Sir, I didn't hear the first part of the question, sir. Naging choppy kayo.
Sabi niya, what can you say about inflation? NEDA
Yes.
and PSA registered
Yes.
about 7.7% inflation
Yes.
rate last month.
Yes.
And I am an OFW and my wife is
Okay.
complaining about the prices of goods and commodities. So we cannot buy house
Yes.
and lot anymore. How is that?
Okay.
What
So
can you say?
if you look at the dollar exchange, ang taas po na exchange ngayon sa dollar, no? When we talk of
May
conversion. So
aha.
medyo panalo ang OFW pagdating doon. Even if there's inflation, increasing prices, sumahabol naman yung value ng dollar nila in terms of conversion sa peso. But if you're going to ask me about inflation specifically, maybe there will be some changes because when we talk of inflation, it's just not just one aspect po ang pinag-aaralan natin. Just look at the increasing prices of gasoline, but we also have to check no yung mga home lending rates and investment. So it is supposed to be a particular market. If they would like to buy a house in a certain market, mag-increase ang prices of goods and services. But in terms of real estate, depende pa rin ho because very particular, very specific, no? Specific lalong-lalo na pagdating sa location. Now, if they want to invest say in the city, it's different if they buy a property say in the outskirts. So, bababa lang yung prices, no? Kapag marami na talaga ang supply doon sa market na yon. So we cannot say generally that the inflation rate affects the total real estate industry because it is
Mm.
specific to a certain market.
Mm. It really depends, no? I think for the low income, they can still afford yung
Yes.
mga socialized housing.
Yes.
Mm.
That's true,
Okay.
sir.
So, okay. So I hope na tama yung you have gotten the opinion of our source person. Ito pinakamaganda. Second question, sabi niya, last night I heard over the radio and television that there was ang sabi pa dito quarrel eh. Hindi naman quarrel, altercation between Senator Rapi Tulfo and Cynthia Villar about conversion to of raw land, agricultural land into residential and subdivision land. Accordingly, Senator Tulfo was saying that we are losing agri-land. And what can
Yeah.
you say about it? Tama ba?
Um, Sir, actually, hindi pa naman na-implement do yung ating Land Use Act.
Land Use Act.
Yeah, Land Use Act. So, of course, yung mga senators po natin, no, they will actually quarrel. Depende kung ano ang ni-represent nila, no? But until now, we still do not have the National Land Use Act. And it's true for Senator Tulfo saying that we are losing lands for production because food is very important
Correct.
for us. Oo. So, yung on the other hand naman po is on the conversion of these agricultural lands to residential lands, no? So, what I can say about that is that they have to reconcile, sir, in terms of their policies. What is the priority? Is it food production or is it for conversion of agricultural lands to
Housing.
residential properties? 'di ba, sir?
Mm,
So
mm.
it's actually ano, it has to be a perfect balance of both, not
I think
losing our food supply and
Yeah, I
all.
think it can be solved by the Land Use Act that will be promulgated by the Senate, no? Wala
That's
pa
true,
namang
sir.
National Land Use Act.
Yes, sir,
And then
that's
I think
true.
soon malalaman natin how many are gonna be. It's gonna be discussed and of course explained thoroughly by our lawmakers, no?
That's true,
Okay,
sir. That's true.
so no, thank you so much for your sharing. And if it's not too much, may I request you to give us short parting message to our viewers all over the world, telling us, about real estate economics.
Okay. My parting words is I just want to thank you, sir, first. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity that you have given me, that I'm able to share my knowledge to all those professionals around the world, to your viewers. And I would encourage each and everyone to be updated, no? Not just looking at a certain market, but if you are an investor, you have to study the market well, no? Because first of all, if you're an investor, you're looking at your return of investment. So if you are an end user, is also a different need, no? So that will be something that I would like them to do, encourage them, is to, before you get into the market, study it carefully. Not just on the specifics like the micro, no, micro studies, but you have to look at the macro as well. In that way, we will be informed as buyers. We will be well informed to make good real estate decisions, whether or not we are the buyer or the seller, whether or not we are on the supply side or the demand side, and whether or not we are both a market player on the demand or on the supply side.
Okay, thank you. So that is consultant Mary Ann Sauratos Medina-Cue. Maraming
Thank you,
maraming
sir, for
salamat
having
sa
me.
iyo.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir, for
so much.
having me.
As a sign of our appreciation to you, let us give you a simple uh,
Oh, thank you.
certificate.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Which
you,
you can
sir.
download certificate of appreciation that says that we want to thank you for being with us, Mary Ann Medina
Thank
Cuesto.
Yes.
Dapat may S, no?
It's
Uh,
okay, sir. My pleasure.
Oo, talking about understanding real estate economics for professionals. And we look and we hope that we have been enlightened on the lecture, and that and we will be guided in our decision to buy or sell real estate properties. No?
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much, Professor Medina.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Doc.
much. Maraming salamat.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Doc
Thank
EG.
you
It's
so
my
much.
pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, ayan, ang dami natin natutuhan about real estate economics. Sayang, ang oras natin, 2 oras lang. It could have been more, but we are running out of time. It's now almost 5, but let me just wrap up and greet Ses Paes. Also, Norwin Dualan Credito, and happy birthday to Mary Ann Plasabas Bernido. Mary Ann, happy birthday, and also congratulations on your graduation in December at the University of the Philippines. So Mary Ann Bernido, happy birthday and congratulations. Also Lisa Sanchez, I will be with you after my program at the Glorieta, no, from La Union. And of course, Laila Laila Cruz, and the beautiful daughter, Binibining Pilipinas winner, Abby Cruz Ramos. And licensed salesperson, accredited salesperson, Jennifer Tabios. Hello also to the newly elected president of Las Piñas Real Estate Board, Jacqueline Bacolod, and job well done for President Philip Ebardone. And Edna Del Valle Tumala, hello. Ed Lacson, yes, my boss, Ed Lacson of PCCI and ECOP. Hello, and June Ortiz Luis, the president of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, who we see always on TV. and Ces Paez and Mar BC from Cebu, and of course, Gil Escudero and Dalita Mausisa from Cebu. Thank you for watching. And Melinda Lit, my friend from Los Baños, hello. And Jade Kimoy, Ann Villarreal of Lyceum, and Ana Alega, Registrar of Lyceum, and Pauline Villanueva, and of course, Pauline and Trixie, the very hardworking staff of Lyceum of Alabang BSREM. And from the MLQ University, Melo Ramirez, and also Drew Liban. And let me also greet Ched Maripe Flores, our Ched supervisor of the NCR, and Ched Liza Magana of the, I think, assistant, no, of the Ched Commission on Higher Education National Capital Region. Likewise, to Dr. William Ko, chairman of PCCI and chairman of ICCT colleges, and George Barcelon, president of PCCI and president of PIRMA, Nestor Correa, and belated happy birthday to Maripe Garchiturena, and of course, Jade Lasaga, you are here, no? At hello there, Jig Sia, and atin ba to? Akinita, Akibenta. Si Kwanto kilala ko to. And Maureen, let me say hello to my cousin Maureen, Mark, Gutierrez Mark, no, from Illinois, who just arrived on a vacation in the Philippines. Okay, so Gloria Marisi, a Blanket for All NGO. Maraming salamat and welcome back my partner Eileen Armando of All-in-One Travel and Travel Agency. Okay. So June Monsayak and wow, andito pala yung the Fair Lady of PCC, the Parañaque City College, IB Estrella. Hi, IB, and also si Dean Kenneth Rapal. Yan. And also Lisa Bacala. Ang dami. And let me say also hello, my sisters are watching, Tessie Aguilar, and also Evelyn Ong Amores. Yan. Okay. So, ang dami-dami na. Paganda ng paganda yung ating programa, and rest assured that we will be giving you more information about real estate, more info about well-being, our whole wellness, and also business in general or entrepreneurship. Now, let me move on to the announcement. For security training, rely on Silver Point Training Institute of Industrial Security by Dr. Neil Silva. Okay. So, stem cell, ultimate healthcare. Wow naman si ating Kate Garcia, no? Catherine Dalaga Garcia, prevent aging. So, gamit po tayo ng portier. Kita naman si Kate, no? Gamit tayo ng portier by Kate Dalaga Garcia. Okay. Then, well, I also would like to say hello to my partner, Doc Lulu Marquez, who is now in the Holy Land. No, I think she is in Jordan now, and she's carrying with her a black MP living powder. Ano ba yan? Black water. Now, which I'm also using and drinking. It's a supplement infused with fulvic and minerals as well as SEO or soil-based organism probiotics, both USDAQ organic certified, and therefore it is good for our well-being. Yeah, so drink black water living powder. Yes. Okay, so again, we are hiring now researchers for Asian Center of Entrepreneurship and Real Estate secretaries and IT specialists. Okay, so now the Lyceum of Alabang is the Blendplex program has opened up enrollment for the second semester for the Blendplex program of Lesivo Baluang, courtesy of the Asian Center of Entrepreneurship and Real Estate. For more information, please connect to ACE RE. Also, and there's gonna be an induction of the advisory board members of the Our Lady of Fatima colleges in tomorrow, no, at the Richmond Hotel. So congratulations to Our Lady of Fatima colleges. Also, mm, okay. So you are also invited to the National Real Estate Association's NRIA 31st anniversary and business meeting Christmas celebration 2022, which will be held kailan ba to? November 25. Okay, you are all invited to attend. Ano ba? Okay. So, well, my students from the marketing management class, graduate school of the University of Santo Tomas, is sponsoring a marketing management symposium dubbed as Real Talk, sponsored by our marketing management students in the graduate school of the University of Santo Tomas on November 26th. That's going to be on Saturday, next Saturday, no? Please join. And a Christmas party of the at the Club Filipino poolside Green Hills of the San Juan Real Estate Board. So on December 1, you are all invited to join. Diba? Okay. And then this most importantly, the ROG or the Realty Opportunities Group will hold a Thanksgiving and a year-end party celebration of gratitude, life, and love. So it's gonna be a reggae, ROG Goes Reggae, okay, on December 1 at the new hotel at the back of the Film Center of the Philippines. Ang tawag doon ay Lime Hotel. Please attend. Kung calling all the real estate professionals, you can join and attend the Christmas party of ROG. Okay? Okay. Now we move on to the last segment of our episode 127, and that is economics or the quote of the week. Economics. The economy is the start and the end of everything. You can't have successful education reform or any other reform if you don't have a strong economy. That is according to David Cameron. So that's it. So we have learned a lot. Meron tayong overload of information today from our resource person, Mary Ann Torratos Medina-Cue. And let us look forward to future episodes. You know, one more episode, and we will be entering our 11th season. And we promise to do better, and we'll add more segments in our episode. So, ano ba ang in order to be able to reach out to majority of our real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, not only here in the Philippines but also worldwide. So, on behalf of the Doc EG team, headed by Rosa De Jesus and also Eliza Kim Chu, And likewise, a new addition is Gen. Then we, and also the stop, the other the utility stops. We we would like to thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to see you again next Friday for another exciting episode of It's Doc EG Live. Bye and stay safe.